Kill your ego and get stage 7 enlightenment. You know, most of us think the problems in our lives are caused by the world, outside other people, bad situations, or just bad luck. But let's face it, the biggest obstacle isn't out there. It's in here. It's your ego. Now, don't get me wrong. Your ego isn't some villain hiding inside you. It's actually there to protect you. But the problem is it doesn't know when to stop. It keeps you trapped in fear, control, and this never-ending quest for validation. And here's the thing. If you want true peace, happiness, and spiritual enlightenment, you've got to let the ego go. Not push it aside, not ignore it, but completely dissolve it. Sounds tough, right? Don't worry. By the end of this conversation, you'll know exactly why and how killing your ego can take you to the 7th stage of enlightenment, where you find ultimate freedom. What is the ego, really? Let's start with the basics. What do we even mean by ego? Most people think of ego as arrogance, like when someone's full of themselves. But ego is much deeper than that. It's the false sense of self you've built around your identity. Think about it when you say, I am a teacher, I am successful, or even, I'm not good enough. Who is speaking? That's your ego. It defines you based on your job, your possessions, your achievements, or even your failures. But none of that is the real you. The ego clings to these labels because it's terrified of being nothing. It tells you, you are what you own, or you are what people think of you. And that's where it traps you. The more you believe your ego, the further you get from your true self, your soul, the part of you that's infinite and unchanging. Why the ego holds you back? Let's be honest, the ego isn't all bad. It's helped you survive, navigate challenges, and function in the world. But the problem is, the ego operates from a place of fear and separation. It tells you you need to be better than them. So you're not enough unless you have this or achieve that. Ever felt jealous scrolling through social media? That's your ego whispering you're falling behind. And the ego loves control. It wants to plan every detail of your life. But when things don't go as planned, it freaks out. You feel anxious, frustrated, even hopeless. And here's the irony. The harder your ego tries to control everything, the less control you actually feel. That's why killing the ego isn't just liberating, it's essential. When you let go of the ego, you stop living in fear. You stop comparing yourself to others. And most importantly, you stop holding yourself back. The 7 stages of the soul. Now, let's talk about the journey of the soul and how killing the ego fits into it. There are 7 stages the soul goes through as it evolves and grows. Each stage represents a step closer to enlightenment and a step further from ego. 1. Survival stage. At this level, life is about the basics: food, safety, and survival. Think of plants or basic forms of life. There's no awareness beyond staying alive. 2. Instinct stage. This is the stage of emotions and instincts. It's where animals and humans both experience desires, fear, and survival-driven actions. It's all about reacting to the world around you. 3. The rational stage. Here you start to use your intellect. You think, analyze, and seek meaning in life. But the ego is still strong here. It thrives on logic, control, and self-interest. 4. Spiritual awareness stage. At this stage, you begin to align with higher truths. You realize there's more to life than just material things or personal achievements. You start asking deeper questions and seeking a connection to something greater. Wisdom stage. Now you begin to let go of attachments. You're not tied to possessions, relationships, or outcomes. Your focus shifts from the physical world to the spiritual. 6. Radiant stage. At this level, you radiate light and positivity. You're no longer just connected to the divine. You become a channel for it. Your presence uplifts and inspires others. The oneness stage. This is the ultimate goal. At this stage, the ego is completely dissolved. You're no longer a separate self. You're one with the universe, with the divine. There's no fear, no boundaries, only pure peace and unity. How to kill the ego. So how do you actually get rid of your ego? It's not like you can just wake up one day and say, "All right, ego, you're fired." To killing the ego is a process, a practice. Here's how you can start. 1. Self-awareness. The first step is to recognize when your ego is running the show. Pay attention to your thoughts and actions. When you feel hurt, defensive, or superior to someone, stop and ask, is this my ego talking? True humility isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about seeing the bigger picture. You're not the center of the universe, but you're an important part of it. When you realize this, the ego starts to lose its grip. 3. Letting go. This is the hardest part. Let go of the things your ego clings to: status, possessions, even the need to be right. It's not about abandoning these things, but about not letting them define you. The practical tools for ego death. Now let's make this practical. What can you actually do to dissolve your ego and move toward enlightenment? Meditation is a game changer. It helps you observe your thoughts without attaching to them. When you meditate, you create space between you and your ego. 2. Gratitude. Gratitude is like kryptonite for the ego. When you're grateful, you're not focused on what you lack. You're focused on what you have, and that shifts your perspective entirely. 3. Selfless service. Do something for someone without expecting anything in return. Whether it's volunteering, helping a friend, or just being kind, these acts weaken the ego and strengthen your connection to others. 4. Reflection. Take time to ask yourself, who am I really? Am I my job, my relationships, or my possessions? Or am I something deeper? These questions can guide you closer to your true self. The freedom of enlightenment. When you finally let go of the ego, what's left is pure freedom. You stop being trapped by fear, comparison, and control. Instead, you step into a state of peace and connection, reaching the 7th stage of enlightenment. Oneness with the universe isn't about becoming anything. It's about letting go of everything you're not. And when you do, you realize that the divine, the infinite, it's already inside you. So here's the challenge I leave you with. Are you ready to let go? To stop clinging to what's holding you back and embrace the infinite potential within you. It's not easy, but every small step counts. Start by becoming aware of your ego. Practice gratitude, serve others, and let go of the things you don't need. Because when you do, you'll discover that enlightenment isn't some far-off goal. It's your natural state. It's who you've been all along. Thanks for being here. If this spoke to you, let's keep the conversation going. Like, share, subscribe, and let's spread this message together.